Hello and welcome to another session of Let's Talk with Dr. Shanessa Fenner. Of course, I'm your host, Dr. Shanessa Fenner, and I have a very good friend here with me again for part two of our wonderful interview, Mr. Larry Rivera. Hi, Larry.
How you doing, Shanessa?
I am doing great, Larry.
I'm Dr. Shanessa Fenner.
Oh, that's fine. I'm Dr. Shanessa. I'm Shanessa. My kids call me Miss Dr. Fenner.
That's awesome. That seems that they have respect for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's something that we need amongst the children today.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
Okay. So, Larry, for those people who didn't get a chance to view the last interview that we did, which was part one, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm Larry Rivera with Project Second Chance, a nonprofit organization here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, that is focused on reaching the youth. It was founded with my pop, my mother, my wife, myself, and it's about teaching our children the truth about what's going on in the world so they may have a fair opportunity at life like any other child. And whether it offends one group of people or not, I think our children truly deserve to know the truth. And Project Second Chance is giving people a second chance, me being the individual who've come out of federal prison, who was not destined the way it seemed when I was in elementary, middle school, or high school, that I would be ended up in federal prison for 10 years out of my life. It's focused at letting children know the truth. As scripture may say, Jesus said, you should know the truth, for the truth shall make you free. What if you don't give the children the truth, then what are you doing? You're keeping them in bondage. And they don't stay children forever. Mm-hmm. One day they become adults. Mm-hmm. So I want to, with our program, Project Second Chance, we've been in existence now since 2010. We've done wonderful things in our community that we're proud of. And I just represent my people. I represent my people as far as of love, and raising the standard, as Miss Catherine G. Johnson. And before, on part one, we didn't see Hidden Figures.
Exactly.
But now we've saw Hidden Figures, and we've saw who Miss Catherine G. Johnson is. And I just want to do what she has said personally to my family that we do and we push and we put out there in our community, and that is raise the standard. So if we have to raise the standard for the children, then surely we have to raise the standards for ourselves.
Now, Larry, let the audience know, who is Catherine Johnson?
Catherine G. Johnson is a black woman that many people did not know about, but not only was she a black woman, she had many other black women around her at a place called NACA at the particular time that is now known as NASA. And she was pretty much responsible for saving NASA because they were getting ready to scrap the program, but they used a black woman's mind and used multiple black women's minds in secret and used their minds to be, to orbit the earth, to send the first man in America to, outer space, and to reach the moon and land someone on that moon. And so Miss Catherine G. Johnson was responsible for doing the trajectories that many of the white men there who had titles of engineer, here is this woman, coming out of West Virginia, 30-something years old. By the time they landed on the moon, which she is responsible for, she was 50 years old. And I say this because so many people think that at the age of 40 and 45 that life is over with because they've made mistakes or whatsoever in their life. But Miss Catherine, did something for this country at the age of 50 years old. And she's 98 years old now. So Miss Catherine G. Johnson is a pioneer in NASA, not just a black woman that's a pioneer period. She's unprecedented. So she's also a personal friend of our family. And I've been blessed, to have her piano in our house that she offered and gave to our children.
Oh, that was nice.
Yes. And we brought her here to Fayetteville, North Carolina at the historical E.E. Smith. And brought her here, and of course, I don't believe that the people knew who they were really looking at.
That's why I asked you to give the audience a little bit of information about her. Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really know who Miss Catherine G. Johnson was. I mean, we try to tell them who she was, but people didn't supported the way I thought that it should have been supported. However, we did promise Ms. Catherine Project Second Chance, community leaders in the community, to where we promised that we would try our best to get it to Russell Simmons, and then from Russell Simmons, it went from Dr. Ben to Russell Simmons, then from Russell Simmons, try to get it to President Obama to mention her name. And we told her we were going to do it. Now, she doesn't want all this attention. This is the thing. She doesn't want all this attention, but personally myself, I debated her in front of my family, you know, disagreeing with why she didn't want her name, didn't want people. She would say, no, you know, I don't want, you know, anybody, you know. But I said, Miss Catherine, you have to. You're living. When you die is when they're going to tell your story, but you won't be here.
Exactly.
You can be here and make sure it's told the right way. And then people can actually see you right now. And she agreed to it. And Project Second Chance was allowed to take her name out there. We brought her here to Fayetteville, and we pushed it all through the media and everything. And now you have a movie called Hidden Figures. And just think about Hidden Figures, just the name Hidden Figures. You're a black woman, Shanessa.
Oh, yes, I am. Can't change that.
That's right. Very powerful movie, you know, about a very powerful woman, but not just a woman, but other black women like her. Brilliant. And it just shows that, you know, white America, because that's what it was. It was NASA, it was white America, was extracting something in secret, was not letting everybody else know who this individual was. Just think all those years, if you're inspired by her today and her story, just think about the many of children who have not been inspired. That when they landed on the moon, that right then children can find out that this black woman played a role, but they hid them. And so you take that out of children's life, you know, I mean, you take the essence out of a child. You take the inspiration, the encouragement out of a child. So Ms. Catherine G. Johnson, we've been blessed to be able to use her name as a teaching tool. And now to have the movie, to be grateful to see the movie, because it's even a bigger platform now. So that's Ms. Catherine G. Johnson.
I know, that's right. Very powerful. I love that.
Yes.
Now, your school is named Project Second Chance. Okay?
Our school is called Bright Young Minds Academy.
Yeah, Bright Young Minds Academy.
Yes.
But Project Second Chance is
The nonprofit
the
organization.
nonprofit. Got
There
it.
you
Okay,
go.
all right.
There
Let's
you
talk a little bit about your school.
go. Ooh.
Tell me about your school.
Bright Young Minds Academy is a name that came from my wife.
Okay.
She was in a program in Mississippi, and it was an after-school program or a camp, and it was called Bright Young Minds.
Okay.
And, you know, as she became, you know, more matured as a teacher, she started saying she would like to have her own school.
All right. What grade did she teach, Larry, when she was a teacher?
Listen, she started off in child care.
Okay.
Then she went to elementary,
All right.
3rd grade. And then she went from 3rd grade, she went to 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th.
Okay.
And then from there, she went to another school and then wrote a curriculum for a local charter school in the city. And at the same time, served as a lead teacher. And pretty much she led all the teachers.
Okay.
And she was very brilliant with what she was doing. And we decided that, you know, it was time that we go embark upon the journey of opening up our own school. And
what has that process been like, Larry?
oh my goodness. You know, first of all, the people doubting you. The process of doing it, you have to make sacrifices, you know, and those sacrifices meaning that being that she was a major in biology and minored in mathematics, surely she could have went to medical school. She had no issue with that. But she wanted to be a teacher because as she was going through school and as she was working at a child care and working at a school as an assistant, she saw a great need for great teachers. It's kind of like Miss Catherine G. Johnson. She was a teacher first. This is powerful, man. It's so powerful. And so we decided to go open up our own school, and we jumped out there on faith. And the process to get there, it makes people think you crazy because of the sacrifices you make. You know, we homeschool our children, and we're all in. We have saw for ourselves. We got to see for ourselves that the educational system is so terrible. This is our articulation of what we see. You can read it in statistics and say it's bad, but this is my articulation. It's a reality. It's mathematical. For black children in particular, that we felt a duty. You know, it was a duty upon ourselves to open up a school. And we said the process will be, let's start at child care, and then as we have them as children, as child care, as they're growing, then let's get a kindergarten. Then let's get a first grade. You know, let's have an after-school program. Even if they have to go into these schools, they can come into an after-school program. We have an after-school program. So they can come into that, and we can still teach them, because at the principle, at the base of all their knowledge, they need morals. They need ethics. You know, they need to know how to treat one another like a brother, like a sister, to respect one another, to see other people in your community as your brother, as your sister, not as a stranger. Everybody has some type of connection with one another. So we teach them the value of good morals. Want for your brother what you want for yourself. Want for your sister what you want for yourself. Respect one another. That is at the key, because if you build on top of no discipline, they'll end up the way this system is set up. I'm an example of it. You know, I'm an example of it, to where I lost my discipline. I still had the knowledge, but I lost my discipline. And it makes you open to do what you know you're not supposed to be doing. And it's a trap. So I like to teach the children, we want to educate them early that there are traps out there. You know, and what is so wrong with the gazelle teaching her baby gazelles how to avoid the grips of the lion? There's nothing wrong with that.
And she needs to teach them.
Exactly. So, you know, it's almost like it's taboo to say that you want to homeschool your own children, that you want to focus on black children. Whether they brown children, we've had brown children, we've had white children, you know, but when you're focused and you're okay and you're saying, I'm all right with folks saying that to anybody, that we want to focus on our children, our community, that which affects me the most first, because there's a problem there, Ms. Fenner.
Of course, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, when you see a problem, you know, it is your responsibility to, you know, find a solution and make it happen. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Okay, all right. Now, tell me a little bit more about your school.
Bright Young Minds Academy, we teach in science, technology, engineering, and math. That's, of course, you don't take a 1-year-old and you have them in front of a computer and things like that yet. But it's the science of developing the mind also.
Okay.
So we also offer our children, we try to keep them around technology. We have events in the community, like we had a screening for Hidden Figures.
Okay.
These children attended. We try to keep them out and to see what a lot of children are not able to see.
Exposure.
To expose them to a lot of
That's
things.
my word.
They're already exposed. When you go to Food Line, it's sex, this, that, and that on just the magazines. You can't even walk down without seeing, you can't stand in line without exposing your children, but what are you exposing your children to? You know, so there has to be a balance. So we want to expose the children at our child care and our after school program to science, technology, engineering, and math, and business. You know, a lot of people became doctors, but they can't run a business for themselves. So they're a doctor, and then they have to go back and end up working for a system that may not be healthy for our people. So we need our own doctors. We need our own engineers. We have them, but we need to focus on applying it more within our own community. We need to uplift our community. You know, like right now, I love this school, Fayetteville State University. I know there's a lot of greatness that's come out of this school, but there's a lot of resources that's been pulled out of this school as well. When there's other schools that have a whole ton of resources, or the resources that a school may have like this may not be as readily available because of staffing. So you may be understaffed. All right, so what I'm speaking about is just that a lot of our great minds are given scholarships to schools out and abroad. So it takes them out of the community and they don't come back into the community because their brains are used. As I was saying, even with Miss Catherine, I asked somebody the other day, I said, what do you think they paid Miss Catherine G. Johnson every year? A program that was getting ready to fail, that has now brought in billions and billions and billions of dollars. And she don't have a state-of-the-art wheelchair. This is my first public saying something like this. But that disturbs me when I go visit and I see her in a wheelchair that's just like everybody else's wheelchair. You understand?
Oh, yes, I do.
So when I go and I see people picking her up and she's saying, out, you understand? That bothers me. Because why haven't you not provided this for Miss Catherine. You know why? Because it's not their community. She's not their people. We should do it. Excuse me. But we should do it. And we should provide it. We shouldn't expect everybody else to provide. So my goal is get them as they're 1 year old, maybe get them when they're coming out the womb, and mold and teach them and guide them into loving themselves and loving their community. So when they go get the knowledge, they feel like, I got to go back home and share this with home, as opposed to go take a check to take that knowledge to somebody else's community. And then when they're done with you, you're sitting like everybody else.
And you know, Larry, you brought up something that is so true. You know, we need to teach our children about unity, creating a unified front,
Yes.
so that we can, you know, work towards, you know, a common goal and all. But our children are looking at us as well as adults, okay?
Yes.
We have yet to create a united front,
That's
okay?
right.
I mean, you want to talk about the community, or you want to talk about our race, you know? We haven't created one yet, you know? We fight among one another. I wrote an article the other day about the light skin versus dark skin issue. You
That
know?
still exists.
We have different things that still go
Yes.
on in our community
That's right.
that we need to first, you know,
That's
find
right.
solutions for, you know, and then we talk to the babies, because we're their role models and they're looking at us first.
That's right.
Okay, so there are a lot of things too. I mean, we don't
totally
support
agree.
one another like we do.
No, we
You
not.
know?
We don't.
The crabs in the barrel,
That's
the
right.
jealousy.
That's right.
You know, I mean, someone always saying something negative or criticizing or critiquing and all, you
Yes.
know? So, I mean, learning begins at home.
Yes, it does.
So the adults are not doing this, so how do we expect for our children to do it?
You are exactly right. I got a phone call 2 days ago from a teacher who was venting. And as much as we say children, you know, let's focus on the children. I'll get back to that in a minute. But
Okay.
she said, Larry, next time you go and speak on parents need to be parents. And I listened to her, and it was so heavy to me what she was sharing with me and how children are being neglected. And you already hear the stories, but sometimes people are able to see it and articulate it in a way that it really touches you in a certain way. You've shared with me what's going on. And when you look at the parents, what I learned about President Barack Obama, how he became president, is when he appealed to the youth. And then the youth appealed to the parents. And when I saw that and I witnessed that, I said, man, I studied, how did he become president? I was watching it when he was running. And it was the children that were going home that were telling their parents about President, and not even President, but Barack Obama. And they were inspiring the parents, and the parents were saying, well, I'm going to go vote for this person. And they're saying, no, you have to vote for. And he moved so many parents, so many adults through the children, because they saw the children being mobilized. And when I saw that, that's when I had said to myself, you know what? I've made up my mind. I'm going to focus on the children. And what happens when you're dealing with the children, when parents see their children growing, they've had their children for 8 years. They've had their children for 4 years. And their children have not given them the results that they were looking for. And then they're able to turn their children over to, this is why I say teachers or principals are so powerful. To me, the most powerful people in this community and all communities are teachers. They are very powerful. And when you look at the teachers and how the teachers are being ignored. I don't want my children going into a classroom being taught by somebody who has to stress about paying her water bill, paying his water bill, paying his electrical bill, not providing for his or her children. I don't want that individual in that position to provide my children the best education. That's making it hard for my children to get the best education. So I focus on the children, and my wife focus on the children. Bright Young Minds Academy is something that we have come together with, that we say if we get them young and instill it in them, then we won't be like the crabs in the bucket. We won't be the ones that won't support one another. But adults are stiff-necked and hard-headed. And even scripture says and refers to children. But adults are so arrogant with themselves, they think that they're the children of God, when they forget it's really the children. But it's the arrogance of adults. You know, so I said, I'm going to focus on the children. I bumped my head so many times on adults. I met some wonderful adults. I've grown up, Shanessa. You know, we're family friends growing up. Parents were family friends. We're like brothers and sisters. So we're in this community, you know, so parenting, yes, but I'm at the point that where I say, you know what, I'm going to affect the children. And then when the children see that miracle within themselves, but the parents see it, and they say, man, I brought my child here for 2 months. I've had my child here for 8 years. I've raised this child. This child got suspended. This child, I'm always at the school. This child comes to Bright Young Minds Academy. And now, you know, my child is doing well in school. My child is motivated. That alone allows me to say to the parents, you don't know it all. Just listen. You see it in the child. Just listen to what I'm telling you. And that's how I reach the parents, is say, in order for you to continue to see your child grow, you have to raise the standard in your own life. And it encourages, because now it's a pressure on them. Now your child is not seen as a burden. Your child is seen as a blessing. So, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm like you, Larry. I believe in the village concept.
Yes.
I know that we don't have the village concept anymore. You know, Larry, when you and I were growing up, if an adult saw us do something wrong, they would get on us, okay? They would say, okay, Larry,
That's
okay,
right.
Shanessa, you're
You
not supposed to
better
do that,
believe it. You
okay?
better believe
And
it.
then when your mother got home, you got it from your mama, okay? But now you dare not say anything to anybody's child.
And you
or
know
it's gonna,
firsthand.
Yeah,
You know firsthand
Oh,
as
yeah.
a principal. I'm talking. But you do know firsthand as a principal. Yes, I just wanted to say that.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
of course. I mean, you know, you dare not say something now, but it takes the village concept
Yes.
now to raise the children,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
And now we've got changes going on, and you know, I don't know how the economy is going to turn out or what kind of decisions are going to be made and all. So it's imperative that we all work together, you know, to be successful and to make it through. You know?
I do want to make this announcement on your show. One, I want to say that first of all, I want to just put it on your show. I can always refer it to your show. That black people are going to be all right. And under what we're witnessing right now, the presidency that we're witnessing right now, black people are going to be all right. And I can feel it, I can see it, you know, and it's good to have the pressure on you. It's wonderful to have the pressure on you. So, you know, I just wanted to say that. I just want, before the show or anything, I just wanted to make sure I said that 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, it will be better for black people.
Okay.
It has been getting worse, Dr. Fenner. It has. It's been getting worse. Statistics show, numbers show, we see it, but it's going to get better. Because once you don't have a choice, that's what prison did for me. I didn't have a choice but to get it together.
Okay, well, we will see.
There you go.
I'm the kind of person I like to sit back and see,
I
okay?
understand.
And I want to see it for myself.
There you go. I
Okay.
understand. When you've been disappointed so many times, I understand. You know, and if working in a school with 400, 500 students, and hundreds of them suffering from bad parenting, you know, that has to weigh on an individual. You know, it has to, and then you have to see it. You know what I'm saying? You have to, because you're seeing so much of it not taking place. So I understand. I definitely understand. But that's the challenge. That makes me challenge. That's the encouragement that you give me. Make it happen.
Okay.
And then it makes me go and tell other adults, we have to make it happen. We have to do it. We have to do what we're doing right now. You know, and I thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor to be on your show.
Oh, well, you
It
know,
really is.
you and I have always, I've known you since we were teenagers,
That's
and
right.
you and I have always had crucial conversations.
That's right.
We're both brutally honest.
That's right.
And we both like to face facts.
That's right.
And we're all about, you know, getting things done.
That's right.
you
That
know.
hasn't changed.
And I like to talk about things that need to be talked about,
That's
need
right.
to be addressed. I know
That's right.
people like to sweep things under the
That's
rug.
right. I totally
and
agree
no,
with
it
you.
needs to be
I
addressed.
totally agree with you, and that's why I enjoy coming to your show.
Okay. Now you talk about exposing, I love the way you said that you want to teach the children at your academy how to start their own business. What are some of the ways, Larry, or what are some of the things you've exposed them to, and how do you teach children and go ahead and get their mindset, you know, programmed to, hey, I want you to start this business when you get older?
Excellent question. We hosted a camp in 2013, Torchlight Summer Camp, and every year we host it. But in this particular year, I did something with teenagers. I had teenagers in it all the way down to 6 years old. And what I did every day during this camp, I gave each student $2. And what I did, I set up a little concession stand over there, and all the little things that they can eat, they can buy with these $2. They were only like a quarter, but it was, you know, a honey bun or whatsoever. And I had some children behind that concession stand who were doing the business, taking in the money. And at the end of the camp, I asked everybody at the end of the camp how many still had money, and only one still had money in his pocket. And I went over there, took him over to the concession stand, and I broke it down to him, and I told him, I said, listen, I gave you $2.
Every day.
Every day. But guess what I did? It seemed good to the people on the outside that I gave you $2. However, those were my children that were behind the concession stand taking the money back. That's one of the things that I expose the children to let them know and understand. Just because somebody gives you money, all right, doesn't mean they love you or they like you or they're with you. That's what, in this world, one of our biggest problems is because we take the money over the principle. You know, and so before even business, you know, like actually doing business, I teach them that that is not good business. You know, to take advantage of a people. It's one thing when you teach it and everybody knows they're contributing. But nobody had money because I created a desire in you. The world already helped do it for me. But all I did was set up, and everybody thought, man, that's nice of him. He's giving us $2. But you don't know that it came right back into my household. You know, and I created economy. And so that's one of the things that I exposed them to. That's how I like to teach the children, shock them like that. Because children like games and they like to win.
Technology.
So when you show them that they just lost something, that they get inspired, like, ooh, I like that, Mr. Rivera. You taught me something. Some, you know, it may bother them, you know, because they say, man, you should have told us that first. No, because if I would have told you first, you wouldn't appreciate it. You had to go through it. You had to see it, you know. So, you know, that's business. First, you have to understand that it's good to start a business, but what kind of business are you starting in? What are you going to have ethics and morals behind your business? Are you going to take the money, or are you going to do what's best for your community? Just like a drug dealer. If he takes the money, if he sells the drugs, that's not good for his community, even though he may give out turkeys. I'm speaking from, you know, being in that lifestyle. So even though the individual may give turkeys and give out, he destroyed the community. The same children he's feeding, the reason why they're hungry is because he took the money from the mothers and fathers. So that's business, you know. So that is what I like to teach children, because I like to inspire in children. If you don't inspire them, they're not going to want it, because it's what they have been already fed in the household through school or whatsoever, where they're learning from anybody else. Overexposure.
Exactly. And when you talk about inspiring, Larry, and we have to inspire our children, and one thing that I'm really big on is intrinsic motivation. You know, I've always been intrinsically motivated, you know. No one had to say, oh, Shanessa, you better do this, you better do that. I've always wanted to do well. I've always wanted to be independent. Right. My mother taught Erica and I, you know, that you're going to be independent, you're going to go to college. And, you know, we didn't have an option. You know, I was never asked, Shanessa, do you want to go to college? Right. You know, Shanessa, which college are you going to? Okay, you know, so I was taught ever since I was this high, you're going to college. You're going to be successful, okay? You're going to be independent. Yes. You're not going to have to depend on a man, Shanessa. I've heard that like 8 million times in my life, okay? All right. And so that is something that was ingrained in my brain at a very young age, you know. And of course, I've carried that and will still continue to carry that, you know, to my casket, okay? That's right. So, you know, but everybody didn't have intrinsic motivation.
No, they do not.
Okay, which is a concern for me as a principal.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we have to do like what they do in the earth. Wherever they find oil, they'll do anything to go get it. It's the same thing with children. Each child has a gift. I've dealt with children that have been so bad off, you know, at such a young age on medication. And then they've taken that child off of medication and that child performs well. So, you know, there's so many things that we're going to have to deal with. So many things that we're going to have to deal with that are affected children because you have been blessed with good parenting. That's what they're lacking, you know. And right now, in the age of technology, we have the opportunity to be good parents. If we didn't before, we do now. So that's why I encourage everybody to do. That's the focus of Bright Young Minds Academy, started by my wife.
Okay, now Larry, where's your school, where's your academy, excuse me, where's your academy located?
6039 Morganton Road.
Okay.
Over by Compare Foods in Westover High School.
Okay.
We have fish tanks, we have, you know, a variety of things in there. I love it. I'm inspired every day.
Okay.
That's what keeps me going, and the world is so cruel.
What is your ultimate vision for the academy?
To be a bigger school.
Okay.
To be a university.
How big? Oh, how big?
A university.
Okay, all right.
A university.
Okay.
You know, that a university. If I don't have to see it, that's not what, I don't have to see it, that it grows to that the vision carries on. That's what's most important to me.
Okay. So you like several set up in North Carolina, different parts of North Carolina? You like for it to be a
I like to first
chain of
be
academy?
successful where we're at
Okay.
and draw people to us.
All right. Okay, and then you want to make it bigger.
That's right.
Okay.
Definitely want to grow it. Definitely want to grow it.
Okay, all right. Good. So is there a certain timeline, a time frame you have for that?
Well, in 3 years, I want to already have the land,
Okay.
and I want to already have at least the first part of the school built. Doesn't have to be huge, big, or anything, but I want to already have the land, and I already have a school first wing built.
Okay, all right. Now, what's the criteria for someone? Let's say someone's watching and they're interested in getting their child to your academy. What's some of the things they need? Of course, they need to come to the academy.
Of course.
Okay. And then what are some of the things they need to get their child enrolled into your academy?
First, they need to love their children.
Okay.
If you love your child, you'll want to bring your child to Bright Young Minds Academy.
Okay.
And so go online at bymacademy.com.
Okay.
And it's bymacademy.com. And fill out the application, you know, for your child, the interest form. Set up a tour, and come tour Bright Young Minds Academy. You'll be impressed.
All right. Can you give me a phone number, or do I have to go online?
You go online. All the
Okay.
information's
Okay,
online.
I don't know if you want to
But
give out a
you can
number.
call in and speak with our assistant director, or the director is there. My wife is the director.
Okay. Do you know the number right offhand?
Say it again.
You have the number right offhand, the phone
No,
number?
I do not.
Okay, that's fine. So
Not
they
off
just
the
need to
top
go.
of my head.
That's okay. So it's BYM
Academy.
Academy.com. All right. Well, all right, Larry, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today on the show. Of course, I wish you loads of success, and I've got to get by and visit the academy as well.
Please come by.
Okay.
ASAP.
All right.
My wife would love to receive you. The children would love to receive you.
Okay.
And you'll love to see them because you're dealing with, you got pre-K and up, but come see the little 1 and 2 year olds also.
I would love it. Okay.
Yes.
Audience, thank you once again for viewing Let's Talk with Dr. Shanessa Fenner. Have a great day.